Hey everyone, this is Zach, the broker for Zach to the Real Estate. Today I want to cover common contract mishaps in real estate. So although real estate agents are not attorneys, we can still do a much better job of filling out the documentation when it comes to buying and selling real estate. And one, we need to get on a better level to better protect ourselves, protect our clients, and never have to use that E&O insurance or be out thousands and thousands of dollars, or even worse, lose our license or potentially be charged with anything. It can get very extreme with contracts if we are negligent, commit fraud, do anything wrong. So all these examples are coming from things that I've actually seen. I've replaced all the names, I've replaced the different terms, but these are things I've actually seen. And it's just little clerical things here and there that can cost you big time. So that's why I'm making this video. I want Zach Taylor agents specifically to be the best when it comes to contract writing. And also, if you're with a different company watching this video, I want to help you get better with your contract skills. If you don't know my background, real quick, I am licensed in Florida and Tennessee. I've taken a Harvard Law class on contract writing. I've also consulted with attorneys, hours and hours and hours of consulting with attorneys over these forms. So this is my background. I am the broker for our company, and I want all our agents to be best protected so they can have a long career in real estate and not be sued, not have to be out thousands of dollars for little mistakes here and there. So as I go through each different situation in each form, feel free, after I name the type of form we're going to cover, to pause the video and look for yourself what you think is wrong before I dive into the mistake. And so jumping right in, counter offer number one. This is what I'm going to be covering first. So go ahead and feel free to pause the video, quickly scan, see if you know what's wrong. But let's go through this. Counter offer one. So if I'm looking through this for compliance-wise, the one is correct. We're at least labeling our documents. Seller name Mackenzie, buyer name Taylor Greist, purchase the property, they list the property, purchase price to be $400,000. That's all good. Everybody signs. So at first glance, this looks okay. However, zoom in real quick. Time limit of the offer, 1 p.m. on the 21st of August, 2021. I meant for this to say 2022 in the example, but still, it applies just the same. Taylor Greist signed at 8/21/2022 at 2:50 p.m. So even if this said 2022, it's an hour and 50 minutes past the expiration date. Same with Mackenzie, 8/21/2022, 2:52 p.m., an hour and 52 minutes after the expiration date. It doesn't matter if Taylor signed at noon and Mackenzie signed after. Either way, this deal terminated, it's dead, but both parties signed off on it after the fact. And 9 times out of 10, you cannot revive a dead offer. Now, there are different legal terminology and everything else that you could potentially revive this. However, the easiest way and the most compliant way to do this is to draft up a new contract. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but that is the proper thing to do. That way you don't get in contract a week down the road, 2 weeks down the road, and then Mackenzie says, hey, not everybody signed before the time of the offer, I want out. So again, be very careful of your deadlines. Make sure everybody signs within or before the offer termination date, because once it's dead, it's dead. So that's the first thing on this one, counteroffer one. Purchase and sale agreement. This is the next form. I've lumped a lot of different mistakes I've seen into one contract, but we'll go through it line by line or page by page. So first things first, 23, all appliances. What are all appliances? Is that the fridge? Is it the oven? Is there a microwave? Is it a dishwasher? Is it a washer, dryer? We don't know. And also saying all appliances according to MLS, well, the MLS can be changed at any time. So in this binding agreement, we need to label what these appliances are. So all appliances, including but not limited to, or just put fridge, microwave, dishwasher, oven, if there's a washer dryer. So label everything clearly. Everything else, 400,000, 80%, but VA. And I saw this recently. Either 9 times out of 10, this is probably done incorrectly. This raises a red flag for me. Could it technically be correct? Yes. However, is it probably the way it was meant to be? No. So VA is normally 100% loan. So either this was meant to be checked conventional, or this should have been 100%. So again, this little mistake could tie this agent up to a big legal situation down the road if this buyer does not close on the home or there's any financing contingency problems. The other common thing I've seen a lot is the loan type shall be selected below, and people check other and write cash. Other cash is not a loan type. If you are meaning for financing contingency to be waived, you check this and leave section A alone. Or if you need financing contingency, you fill out this and leave B alone. So this person put pre-approval here as well, which does not make any sense. So if you're intending to use this section, waive it, then you check this, fill this out, leave A blank. Or if you need financing contingency, fill these out and leave this blank. Right now, we kind of have mix and match, which doesn't make sense right here. Agreement is contingent upon appraised value. Title expenses. This is a big one. I see this all the time. 142, buyer to pay title search. Now, what's wrong with this? If you read number 3, title expenses, so cost of title search, mortgagee's policy, and owner's policy shall be paid as follows. That's 3 things right there. This agent only put 1, buyer to pay title search. What about mortgagee's policy? What about owner's policy? You could make an assumption that the seller has to pay these 2, but we don't know. So it should say buyer to pay all title expenses, seller to pay all title expenses, buyer and seller to split title expenses, buyer to pay title search, seller to pay mortgagee's policy and owner's policy. So make sure this is clearly labeled. There's 2 more issues on this form, or on this page, right here. Right here. Closing agency for seller and contact information, TBD. The problem is I see a lot of agents use TBD and they never do an amendment down the road to label, well, who is the title company or closing agency for the seller? It is a quick phone call as a buyer's agent to pick up the phone, call the listing agent, and ask who they would like to use for title. Try to fill this out the best you can. TBD is not really good because we kind of get complacent with that and forget to label it down the road. Or I've seen this blank and you just label super title. Maybe both parties do want to close at super title. I would recommend super title being put on both line items because it's separate. It's asking who's for the buyer, who's for the seller. They're the same. Let's go ahead and put the same on each line item. The next issue with this, 7 biz days. So I'm assuming business days, but business days, again, can get us in a lot of trouble. We are not attorneys, but business days, what are those? We can assume Monday through Friday. However, most banks are actually open half a day on Saturday. So now is business days Monday through Saturday? And technically Walmart's a business. So it could be every day of the week is a business day. So where a lot of agents get in trouble, they put business days here, but they don't properly define what is a business day. So what I recommend is leaving business days out of it altogether because the contract already has a definition of calendar days and what type of days are used for deadlines. That's what I would defer to. I wouldn't recommend putting business days because a lot of agents forget to define that. Or maybe this says 7 business days, but then the other deadlines in your contract are calendar days. So now you're kind of mixing different type of deadline days and how to count those. And that can lead to people forgetting deadlines because they're on different forms of accounting for the type of day. So leave business days out. Let's keep going. September 20th of 2021. So although a simple clerical error, they probably meant 2022, this little mistake can cost the agent a lot because if the buyer signs off on this and then they going through the deal and the seller says, wait a minute, this contract never had a valid closing date. I'm out and I'm going to keep your earnest money. Well, guess who might be on the hook for that? The buyer's agent. So watch every blank carefully. If you need help, reach out to your broker. They should be able to help you with your contract. If they can't help you, if they're not available, call me. I want to help you. Let's go through this. This is checked. Taylor Grice is labeled at the deed. Sometimes this is blank. Do not leave this blank. Fill this out. This is missed sometimes, lead-based paint. So either it does apply or does not apply. 10-day inspection, 5 days. 1 for the final inspection. Keep going. Home protection plan waived. All right, special stipulations. This is taken from an actual contract. Buyers are pre-approved. They have no contingencies to hold up moving forward. But if we think back about this contract, we had a 80% VA financing contingency, we had an appraisal contingency, and we had an inspection period contingency. So this buyer agent, if the seller agent is reading it correctly, they could probably argue that they are, with special stips, overriding all those previous ones and waiving everything. There's no contingencies to hold up moving forward. So be very, very careful with special stipulations because special stipulations, if conflicting with any previous section, override it. So right now, this agent, if this deal went south, there are no contingencies to hold it moving forward. Let's say we get under our inspection period, buyer tries to terminate, listing agent says, you have no contingencies. Well, again, who could be on the hook for that earnest money or further damages? The buying agent for not writing this correctly. So if you haven't already, watch my previous special stipulations video. A quick keynote with special stipulations. is use if then statements. It's covered in my previous video on filling out special stipulations, but so many agents put this is contingent upon X, or this is contingent upon the buyer selling their home at 123 Main Street, but there's no then statement. And the problem is, okay, cool, it's contingent upon that, but what happens if that contingency comes into play? Who can terminate? Who gets the earnest money? So using the example I just said, this offer or this agreement is contingent upon the buyers selling their property at 123 Main Street. If 123 Main Street does not sell by the closing date of this agreement, buyer may terminate in writing and receive a full refund of their earnest money. That's that then section of a contingency in special stipulations. So be very, very careful with your special stipulations. Don't just say this is contingent upon X and then never describe what happens if that comes into play. Let's go through 10 p.m., 21st day of August, 2022. And everybody signed before that deadline. So that's contract. That's a lot of things I've seen wrong. Next one, amendment to the purchase and sale agreement. So feel free, again, pause the video to find what is wrong with this form. Again, it's little things, but they can cost you a lot or your license. So right now is amendment blank. It's blank. Make sure on your addendums, amendments, closing date extensions, label them. And I recommend using numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because if you submit amendment 10 to the title company, it's really easy to say, okay, where's amendment 1 through 9? Versus if you say amendment J, now everybody has to kind of count out the alphabet. How many is that? Does that match up? So I usually recommend doing numbers over letters. But here's why leaving them blank can cost you as an agent. So it's blank. Seller concessions to be $4,000. Amendment 2, seller concessions to be $1,000. Now we have a third amendment page, seller concessions to be $1,000. Now, is this the same one as amendment 2? Is this just a reiteration of 2? Or is this a third amendment? So maybe there's $4,000 plus $1,000 plus another $1,000. Maybe it's $6,000 in total, but not labeling this could cost you where you have to pay out $1,000 or worse. Or is this meant to be seller's concessions to be $1,000 total? Does this one override amendments 1 and 2? We can assume this is 1, but we're not sure. So this should probably say all concessions mentioned in previous amendments are null and void. Going forward, total seller concessions to be $6,000 towards buyer's closing costs. So now we've reiterated, and going forward, we've clearly explained what the total concessions are. We've also numbered this. So make sure you number everything. Let's keep going. All right, so this is the second to last page on a purchase and sale agreement. So again, pause this so you can find out what's wrong with this. But now that we're looking at it, it looks like, okay, 10 p.m. on the 21st day of August, 2022. If we go down here, Taylor signed at 3:05 p.m., so that's before 10 p.m. And Mackenzie signed at 3:06 p.m., so that's before 10 p.m. Do you guys see what the issue is, though? These are flat signature boxes. That means at some point, this document has been downloaded to a computer, uploaded into Dotloop, and then this blue box has been added after the fact. And this is a big no-no because we are not parties to the contracts. We do not want to edit documents, alter documents, or change them after everybody's already signed. We want to make all those changes ahead of time and have all parties sign off and acknowledge those changes. So because you could have Mackenzie argue, I never signed off that I accepted this, maybe I meant rejects. So do not add things after everybody's already signed. So if I flag this and say returned, don't add this after the fact to satisfy the requirement that one of these boxes needs checked. The proper way is to come back in, add a checkbox, have Mackenzie initial it, and have Taylor initial it. Then everybody's acknowledged the addition because, again, we are not parties to this contract. This contract is between Mackenzie and Taylor. They need to be fully aware of what they're signing off on. Next document. This is on a exclusive right to sell listing agreement. So if we look at this, line 56, a total of 2.5 or 2.5 compensation. However, a seller could look at this and say, wait a minute, I might only have to pay out $2.5 or 2.5%. And that could be thousands and thousands of dollars that the listing agent has just cost themselves by just quickly putting in 2.5 for both line items. If you are intending for it to be 2.5%, this should be blank. Or if you are intending for a total flat fee commission, you fill this out and leave this blank. And then the second issue with this form is down here, they are offering 2.5% to a buyer's agent. So if it is intended 2.5% here, and this is blank, and you just gave away 2.5% to a buyer's agent, you now just sold this house for free as a listing agent. So make sure the numbers correspond accordingly. Maybe they meant to put 5% here commission, this blank, and this 2.5%. Or even worse, seller could say, yeah, I'm only paying a total of $2.5, and this listing agent has to pay 2.5% out of their pocket to a buyer's agent. So be very careful when you're filling out these forms. Slow down, and again, consult with your broker if you need help. Here's another exclusive right to sell listing agreement. We're going to jump to the same page for different examples, similar but different examples. So line 56, a total of $0 or $5, or I've seen NA here, or 5%. So again, if this does not apply, leave it blank, put 5%. And then we have 2.5% here. So that means this listing agent is giving half of the commission to the buyer's agent. And a lot of times I see this line item blank right here. Now, it is okay if it's blank. However, I want to better describe this for agents because I think it gets confused. So right here, it is saying, of this 5%, if a real estate agent brings a buyer and they are part of the same MLS as me, will you offer them a part of the total commission? And that's what goes here, 2.5%. So they're saying, hey, we'll split it. Even though, again, watch a previous video I have on listing agreements, it doesn't have to be split evenly. But this is saying 2.5% to a buyer's agent is part of the same MLS system as me. This one is saying, if they are still an agent, but maybe they're part of a different MLS system, will you offer them a commission as well? So in Middle Tennessee, we use RealTrax. There's 12 MLSs at minimum across Tennessee. So let's say an agent from Memphis, they use a system called Paragon. They drive all the way into Nashville. They show up properties to their client. They want to write an offer. Will you offer a commission to that agent from Memphis? So for me, it's yes. It's, hey, they're licensed either way. I don't care if they come from Gatlinburg, Chattanooga, Memphis. I'm still going to offer the same percentage. So 2.5% can go here. It does not add. It does not say 5% total. It's meaning either or situation, 2.5% to an agent. So that's what this is. Let's move forward. All right, so this one is a little sneaky. Minimum appraised value addendum. So this came from one of our agents. So if you can notice what's wrong here, it's very, very subtle. Our agent represents the sellers. They created this document, and I've blanked out the names associated with this transaction. But on this line item, the listing agent put $369 and had the seller sign off. They sent it to the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent added a text box over top of the $369 and put $379 and had the buyer sign off and sent it back and thought that was a bound addendum. And you can tell here the slightest difference. See how the lines don't match up? That means this document has been altered. There's a text box added over top of the $369. So I want to applaud our agent for catching this. One, you can tell because it doesn't say $369, but if you miss that, this little line item shows that it's been altered. So that is a big, big red flag from that other agent at a different company. They have altered a document, potential fraud issue. Both parties, this is not binding because the seller signed off on a document that said $369. They did not sign off on this document that said $379. Best case to do to fix this situation is the buyer agent should have created a blank addendum, put $379, had the buyer sign off. It would have been blank where the sellers are, send that new one over, have the parties sign, if that's truly what both parties wanted to do. Or a shorthand, that one's the best, creating a whole new document. A shorthand could have been leaving the $369, putting a strike through here where you can still read the $369. You put a clean strike through right here. You add a text box above it that says $379 and all parties initial that change. Because again, we want all parties to acknowledge every form and any changes. So those are the two ways that this could have been handled properly. And right now, this could be a situation where the seller says, hey, I didn't agree to $379. I said $369. So be careful with your documents. When they come in from other agents, double check them. Don't just upload it to .loop, submit for review, and forget about it. Double check your documents. All right, last one here. So I'm pretending this is a purchase and sale agreement, page 10, I believe it is, out of 11. So we're pretending it is this page right here. I know it's a seller's disclosure, but we're just pretending it. So time limit of offer to be 1 p.m. on the 21st day of August, 2021. I meant for this to be 2022. Can't get my dates. I forgot that earlier too. Now, here's the thing I want to point out with this. In-person signatures versus electronic signatures. With electronic signatures, you can see that it timestamps this, 3:53 p.m., 8/21/2022. If the expiration date is this, and this is all we have for the in-person signature, we don't know if this contract is even valid. We don't know when Taylor actually signed. So if you have in-person signatures, make sure they date and time the form. Otherwise, we don't know when Taylor signed. She could have signed on the 22nd day. She could have signed on the 20th day. We don't know. So make sure you are fully filling out all the documents, looking for any blanks, filling out the amendments, creating kind of a timeline of amendments going forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is going to sound a little negative and pessimistic, but if another agent sends you a document that is not correct or is not dated and timed, tell the other agent, let them know. Again, do not just upload it to Dotloop and call it a day. Tell them and have them fix it. And another thing to be pessimistic and negative is, sadly, sometimes when an agent, if you try to ask them to fix things and they say, this is the way it's always been done, I've been doing this for 20 years, you're new, I know what I'm doing, they have a broker license, none of that matters if you know what you're doing. Fall back on your training. Do not always go based on what the other agent tells you is okay, because at the end of the day, in a court situation, you would be on one side and the other agent is on the other side. And if they say, hey, I told him to do this, and then you went by that and you were negligent, that falls on you. So again, refer to your own broker, refer to your past training. If somebody says it's the way we've always been doing it and you know it's wrong, do not go based on their advice. Same thing, we had kind of a situation where an inspection period deadline was coming to an end. It was like 10-day inspection period. It ended on a Wednesday, and the buyers needed more time. So our agent sent over an extension to the inspection period on that Wednesday morning and said, hey, we need more time. Can you go ahead and see if the seller is okay extending this and sign off that we extend the inspection period deadline? The other agent said, hey, they're working. They're not going to be able to get to it today. They will sign off on it tomorrow, but all is good. And they sent that text. Our agent did the right thing and said, no, we need it signed today, because that was the end of the deadline. If you go based on the other agent's word that, oh yeah, we'll sign it tomorrow, the 11th day can hit, and you say, where's our amendment? And that listing agent say, oh yeah, sellers changed their mind. Now the buyer is buying the property as is with any faults or repairs. So don't just go based on what the other agent is telling you. Go based on your training and what your broker has taught you, and consult with your own broker. That is the best course of action. Make sure you fill out everything to the best you can. Make sure you label everything, and that should help protect you so you have a long career in real estate. If you have any questions, even if you are not with Zach Taylor Real Estate, if you have any questions about filling out contracts, feel free to reach out to me. I love to help other agents. Doesn't matter what company you're with. I want this industry to get better. I want agents to be protected. Like I said, have a long career. I don't want you to have to be out thousands of dollars, lose your license. So hopefully this helps you guys out, gives you different ideas of different situations I've seen pop up. Make sure you guys stick to the basics with the contracts. Be sticklers with this, because these are big legal transactions. So I will post more information down below about Zach Taylor Real Estate if you're interested in joining, and I will see you guys next time.